tuning in to another live stream here on Mars World. I've been super busy lately because I've actually been in the middle of moving. And so that's why you probably haven't seen me on here doing trivia. It's because moving takes a lot of work. So it's great to be back with everybody here on this Monday evening, and we're going to be doing some movie trivia. So I'm looking forward to that. And as you join in here, let me know where you're watching from. We get people tuning in from all over the country here on Mars World. And yes, hello, King. Thank you for tuning in to another one. So I've actually got the leaderboard right here. I have a better whiteboard than last time that's going to keep track of who is on top, who gets the answers right. Wasn't it you that was telling me to do some movie trivia? Because I do listen. I listen to what everybody says. And last time we did Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader trivia. And King actually did an excellent job, emerged as one of our top leaders, if not the top leader of that particular trivia session. This time we are doing movie trivia. So, and King says, I will never miss Alive. Oh, and thank you for the floating heart from Malik. So the first question that we're going to do, what flavor of Pop-Tarts does Buddy the Elf use in his spaghetti in the movie Elf? How many of you have seen the movie Elf? It's one of my favorites. It is a Christmas classic movie starring Will Ferrell. But again, the question is, what flavor of Pop-Tarts does Buddy the Elf use in his spaghetti in Elf? It's one of those scenes that you really can't forget because Buddy is pouring stuff on his plate and King says chocolate. Yes, the answer is chocolate. So King gets that correct. And I'm going to write your name on this leaderboard right here because I expect you to get more that are accurate. Okay, so King is in the lead. You must have seen Elf. It's actually one of my favorites. So sorry if that's backwards. It probably has that mirror effect, but King is on top. And who else is joining us? Alondra, shout out to Alondra. I'm looking at everybody else's comments. Yes, shout out to Alondra. Thank you for tuning in to this live stream here on YouTube on Mars World. And thank you to all the support from everybody. My goodness, the channel has been busy lately and we've been putting together some hopefully entertaining stuff for all of you. We're always thinking of different things to put out there in different situations. And we're actually approaching 25 million views here, which happened in a really short amount of time. And a shout out to the one. Thank you for tuning in. Again, we're doing movie trivia. So, oh, and thank you for subscribing, Alondra. I appreciate that. Movie trivia, and King is in the lead right now. I'm writing everybody's name on this board if you get it right. Okay, this is probably a tougher one. Here's the question. What pop vocal group performs at the wedding in Bridesmaids? Okay, so I think most of you probably don't know the answer to this because this is a band from the 1980s. Okay, so again, what pop vocal group performs at the wedding in Bridesmaids? Let me know if you happen to know the answer to that. Again, we've got King. Yeah, King doesn't know that one. And it's okay if you don't because that's actually a tough one. Let's see if we can find something that is a bit more up to date. Let's see here. I'm seeing a couple that are Jurassic World, so that's good. Tell you what, I am a movie buff. And hello to Josh. Oh, and Justin says Wilson Phillips. All right. Justin's going to be added to the leaderboard. Justin and King are tied at 1. Okay. So again, that's backwards. I think you might be reading that backwards. So I'll have to figure out how to best work that situation. Um, I'll give you a little bit of trivia about me. So back when I was 16 years old, I worked in a video store. Does anyone on this channel know what a video store is? Like Blockbuster. Do you know what Blockbuster is? Hello from Iceland. Wow, Joe. Hello. Thank you for watching. Have any of you heard of Blockbuster? So I worked at a video store, right? And people would walk in and they would rent VHS cassettes. A lot of you probably don't even know what VHS cassettes are, but they came before DVDs. Some of you might not know what DVDs are, right? That came before streaming. Hollywood Video, yes, that was another one. And anyway, what was I getting at? I know a lot of movie stuff because I used to work at that video store. I would get so bored at that store that I would just walk around and look at the movie titles. And so I happen to really like memorize movie titles and years. For some reason, like I have that information up here where I just know certain years when things were made, and you guys can double check me on this. But like Star Wars, for example, it was made in 1977. How do I know that? Because I used to work at a video store. E.T. was made in 1982. How do I know that? Because I used to work at a video store. Josh says he worked in film, rewinding the VHS tapes. Yeah, we actually had a device where you would put in the tape and then you'd slam it down and the thing would rewind. Yeah, movies aren't the greatest. I would agree. They haven't been the greatest in the last 20 years. Jeremy Ann Santos, thank you for saying hello on this channel. So this next trivia question, I'm actually going to pull from just my memory. I do have trivia questions on the screen over here, but I'm going to pull from memory, okay? Just because I know a lot of stuff that's rattling around up there. But let's go with the movie Titanic. How many of you there have seen the movie Titanic? I'm sure a lot of you have seen it. It was made in 1997 with Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet. And happy birthday to Jeremy Ann Santos. Happy birthday to you. And I hope you do well in this contest. But here's the question that I have. Here's the question I have regarding Titanic. There was a necklace. There was a necklace that lady was wearing. It was worth a lot of money. And remember that scene at the very end where she's on the edge of the boat and then she tosses it off into the ocean? What was the name of that necklace? There was actually a name for it. I'm looking for the answer of the name of the necklace in the movie Titanic. You know, the whole search for that necklace, the whole movie, right? And that thing was worth millions of dollars. Rosebud. You know, Rose was the name of one of the characters in that movie. It was Jack and Rose. And Justin gets it right with the Heart of the Ocean. That's right. So Justin's in the lead with 2. We've got King followed closely with 1. I can't believe she just threw that in there. It's one of the most shocking scenes because the crew was looking for that the whole time, and then it comes to find out that she had it the entire time and wasn't telling anybody. And so, yeah, that's at the bottom of the ocean somewhere. Did you know that I've actually touched the Titanic before? I have touched the Titanic. Yes, I did. I'll tell you how that I did that. There's a traveling exhibit that goes around the country, and when I was living in Las Vegas, it was at the Luxor Hotel, and you would go in there, you'd look at artifacts that they pulled up from the ocean, and then there was a 15-ton piece of the hull, which is a big section of the ship. And there's a place where you can actually touch the side of it. So you can say that you touched the Titanic. Pretty amazing. And yes, Billy Zane was in Titanic. How about that? Let me think about what else. I'm gonna give you another trivia question. as I'm continuing to monitor your chat. So thank you for tuning in. Um, so here's another question for you. How did Jack get a ticket aboard the Titanic? Do you remember that? At the very beginning of the movie, he was doing something to get that ticket. And Lincina says hi, hello to Lincina. Thank you for tuning in to another trivia live stream here on Mars World. We're going to be doing a lot more of that, of these live streams where we do trivia, because I love trivia. I think it's a lot of fun to do. He snuck on. He actually didn't sneak on. No, Jack didn't sneak on to Titanic. He earned his way on there. But how did he do that? How did Jack get on board onto Titanic? Remember at the very beginning of the movie? Oh, Mia, thank you for sending that over. I appreciate it. I know that's a gift. You know, I'm kind of new to this whole gifting thing, so but I know that's a very cool thing to do. So thank you for doing that. When did the Titanic sink? 1912. Not only, okay, you guys can check me on this, but I'm pretty sure it was April. Was it April 14th, 1912? Can somebody check me on that? It'd be amazing if I remember that date. April 12th or April 14th, 1912. Let me know if I'm right. Justin got it right. Josh says he lost interest in the Titanic. Oh, you mean the movie? It's kind of long. But I will say that it's the best depiction of any Titanic movie out there. So Justin's in the lead with 3. Nicely done with that. And again, thank you, Mia, for that gift. Greatly appreciated. King, it's okay. You still have more options to do this and come out in the lead. So I'm going to think of another movie out there that you guys are probably familiar with. In the movie Armageddon, which was released in 1998. Good night, Josh. Jocelyn. So Bruce Willis was in this movie, and in the movie Armageddon, there was a gigantic meteor approaching Earth. And Bruce Willis and his crew had to land on the meteor and do what to save the world? Does anybody know the answer to that? And I hope you do too, Nick. Thank you. Does anyone know the answer? They landed on, I mean, it's such a, like, realistically, it's such an impossible scenario to send a crew up there and land on a meteor that's approaching Earth, but they did in the movie Titanic in 1998. Probably a movie that was made before any of you were even born. But what did they do to save Earth? Remember? So most of the movies you haven't seen. Tell you what, King. I am referring to a lot of older stuff. I'm going to look up movie trivia that is like more present day. And let's see if we can find something. Nick says, didn't they drill a hole in the meteor? Yes, they did. But then what did they do? So that's a partial correct answer, but what did they do after they drilled the hole? I know, I'm curious about that too. There's a lot of stuff that I'm curious about with the stars and the planets and all of that. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to find something that is modern. Let's see here. All right, here's a more modern question, right? It's a newer question. King, I'm wondering if you've seen the movie Baby Driver. The main character has what condition in that movie? He has some sort of problem. Do you remember what condition he has? And I'll tell you that I have the same condition that this guy had in that movie. So Baby Driver, the main character, he was a driver, like a getaway driver. Schizophrenia. No, no, I don't have that. It's tinnitus. So the answer is tinnitus. Tinnitus is a ringing in the ears. So, and I think that's why this guy was always listening to music in that movie. I don't know if you've seen that, King, but anyway, I have tinnitus because I spent many years with an earpiece in my ear when I worked in TV. That's right. I used to be a television anchor and host, and so I would have that earpiece in all the time, and eventually, and actually, a lot of you guys are probably going to experience this. I'm not trying to scare you, but if you have earbuds in, which I'm sure you have them connected to your iPhone, there's a good chance that you're gonna get that later in life, where it's just like a subtle ringing in your ears. See, it doesn't really bother me until things get really quiet, and then I can really hear it. But anyway, that is the answer to that one. Let me see what else. I'm trying to figure out. So we're doing movie trivia. This is a good one. Oh, Josh, you were on Pawn Stars. Really? I actually interviewed Rick Harrison in the Pawn Stars store. I've done several interviews with Rick because I used to live in Las Vegas. I hosted a show in Las Vegas on the CW, and Rick's a great guy, and I love that crew at Pawn Stars. But yeah, I was behind the counter with Rick, and we were showing off a bunch of the items. And I remember I brought a broken golf club with me, and I told Rick from Pawn Stars, I said, "So tell me how much this is worth because I've touched it." And he looked at me and he said, "It's priceless," meaning it's worth nothing. So, and I actually bought some stuff from there. I bought like some old Las Vegas poker chips and stuff like that. Hello, Chance. Thank you for tuning in. Josh, I would like to see your episode of Pawn Stars, actually. That would be pretty cool. And by the way, for those of you watching, I was on a show as well. I was on Breaking Bad. How many of you have seen Breaking Bad? It's probably the biggest show in the history of television. But yeah, I was in episode 1, the premiere episode of season 3. Yeah, King's like, what? Yeah, most people say that when they hear that about me. It's actually a funny story. I was living in Albuquerque, and I was working at the NBC station as an anchor, and it was Bryan Cranston, the main character of Breaking Bad, who saw me on TV. Then he contacted my boss and said, "We want to meet that guy with the glasses about a show that we're doing. We want to put him in it." And I didn't know anything about Breaking Bad at the time. And so I never met Bryan Cranston, but yeah, he saw me on television and then was like, "We want to cast him for this premiere episode." And so I did the episode, and in that particular one, I'm playing the role of a television anchor who is talking about a plane crash that happened that was caused by an air traffic controller named Donald Margolis. And I recorded about a week's worth of wardrobe changes to simulate a week's worth covering a horrific plane crash. Anyway, that's my Breaking Bad story. Josh says it's a ship. Yes, the Queen Mary is a ship, and the Titanic is a ship as well. All right, here's another question for you. Which 2004 indie film inspired a yearly festival held in the Idaho town where it was filmed, featuring a tater tot eating contest? I bet you this is something that you guys have seen. Happy to give you some hints too. Main character in this one, he's got curly hair, big glasses. He's got an uncle who apparently used to play high school football and lives in a van and says that he can throw a ball over those mountains. Do you remember that one? King, I'm sure you've seen this. Um, it's about, I mean, the main character, he's in high school. His best friend is Pedro. His best friend is Pedro. Oh, okay. King's got to run. Might be back. Um, anyway, the question that I'm on right now is which 2004 indie film inspired a yearly festival held in, yes, King got it right. Napoleon Dynamite. Okay. Wow. And then Josh was just behind. So we've got King with 2, and we've got Justin with 3. Josh, you almost got that one just in time. Nicely done. So that would be Napoleon Dynamite. All right, let me see what else we've got here. This one's about Lindsay Lohan. Okay. Which of Lindsay Lohan's other iconic films is mentioned by way of a wedding date in Freakier Friday? So, I've never seen Freaky Friday or Freakier Friday, but again, the question is which of Lindsay Lohan's other iconic films is mentioned by way of a wedding date in Freakier Friday? So, anybody who has seen Freakier Friday, apparently this film that she was in was referenced in that movie. And I'll tell you more about the film. So she plays a role with her friends, and they're not very nice, and they're in high school. They're not very nice. I'm sure you guys know this one. I mean, I know we've got high school people watching this. I know you know movie trivia. We're talking, yes, Josh gets it right. So Josh is on the board. Nicely done. Wow. Mean Girls. It's been a while since I've seen that. Melissa was right behind. Josh, we've got you on the board. So, and I actually like that film, Mean Girls. Huh. Okay, I'm looking at some Oscar stuff. Oh, okay. So here's something, because I just watched this. There's a musical? Awesome. I would want to check that out. So here's the question. Which 2 actors from the original I Know What You Did Last Summer returned for the 2025 film reboot? So again, this is I Know What You Did Last Summer. It returned. So they made another one this year. And who are the 2 actors in it? These 2 were big back when that movie was released in the early, I think it was the early 2000s when I Know What You Did Last Summer came out. But who were the 2 big stars in that? Josh got it right. Yeah. So Melissa, Melissa said, oh, Freddie and Michelle. So Josh says Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze Jr. Nicely done. So now we've got Josh NC 78 with 2. King's got 2. I think he had to sign off, and then Justin's got 3. So we're continuing along with movie trivia. That's a tough one. I'm not going to do that one. All right, so I'm going to go back to this. Earlier in the live stream, I talked about Elf. So Elf is a Christmas movie with Will Ferrell, where he plays Buddy the Elf. And Buddy the Elf is like an overgrown elf. Pixel, high pixel. So here's the question. What boxed breakfast treat does Buddy the Elf add to his breakfast spaghetti in Elf? So he's got a plate of spaghetti, and then he's like, I'm going to have some of these. And he dumps a box of, let me know what it is. Oh, no, well, syrup was part of it, but It's a boxed breakfast treat. And I'm sure some of you have eaten this recently. It's not cereal, but that was probably one of the things he added. But it's like a little tiny box and it comes in different flavors and it's like a pastry and you can put it in the I forgot the name of it. Toaster. You can put it in the toaster. Yes, Brad gets it right with Pop Tarts. Nicely done, Brad. I haven't had a Pop Tart in quite a while. Melissa, you were right behind. Melissa, you were so close. Best Pop Tart, in my opinion, blueberry. Blueberry. You think it's gross? What about if you put it in the toaster? Have you tried that? I mean, I think it's a lot better if you do that. All right, let's see what else we have here. S'mores. I forgot about the s'mores one. That might be better than blueberry. Mm-hmm. Of course, I'm good at giving advice. Um, yep. Oh, you freeze the Pop Tarts. Nice. Yeah. I again, I agree. I think s'mores might be the best one. Here's another question for you. And this one's going to predate a lot of you, but there's a movie called Rocky, right? It's a boxing movie. They came out with numerous sequels, and then they came out with Creed, which was a sequel to all of that. Here's the question: which actor wrote the screenplay for Rocky? In other words, who is the main actor of Rocky? Who's the one that plays the boxer? Um, he's pretty old now. He's got to be in his 70s. Any ideas? So Melissa gets it right. Melissa's on the board. Nicely done. Melissa's on the board. Josh, you were right behind. You're right behind. Melissa's on the board. She got Rocky right. By the way, Rocky was made in 1976, and when it was released in 1976, it won the Academy Award for Best Picture. It was a real amazing feat for Sylvester Stallone because at that time, nobody knew who he was. He was a struggling actor, and he came up with the screenplay. He could have sold that screenplay for a lot of money. I think they offered him something like 400 grand for it, but he refused to sell it to the studio at the time because he wanted to star in it. So he held strong to do it. All right. I'm going to have to give that one some thought. Yeah, I'm going to have to give that one some thought, Dapper. Yeah, let me get back to you on that. Oh, you have to go? Jeremy has to go. Thank you for tuning in. We're doing movie trivia. What is the name? This is probably a tough one. What is the name of the sequel to the cult horror film, The Blair Witch Project? Did anybody see The Blair Witch Project? That was a while back, but it really freaked people out in the beginning because people thought it was real. They thought it was a real horror film of Dapper gets it right. That's correct. Dapper gets it right. Nicely done. Let's see what else we have. We're doing movie trivia. I'm trying to find stuff that is not too old. You guys probably don't know Stephen King. I could be wrong. It was a guess. Oh, and thank you for that gift. Thank you for the gift. Appreciate it. Oh, Dapper says never seen it. So McCracken Phil, thank you for that. Shout out to McCracken Phil. We're doing movie trivia. What was the first Disney princess movie to be given a live action adaptation? So we're talking Disney now. What was the first Disney princess movie to be given a live action adaptation? How many Disney fans are watching right now? That's my question. This is something I probably wouldn't. I'd just be randomly guessing. Yeah, it's not Tinkerbell. But I'll give you a hint. I'll give you guys a hint. This one is where she loses the slipper. And remember when she lost the slipper? Yeah, Melissa gets it right. Nicely done, Melissa. Melissa is catching up. Melissa's got two. Josh has two. Justin has three. King has two. Dapper has one. That was good. That was good. I definitely haven't seen that live adaptation of Cinderella. Okay, here's another one. What prop can be found in almost every scene of Fight Club? And if you guys haven't seen Fight Club, you have to see Fight Club. It's with Brad Pitt. It's with Edward Norton. If you're streaming, I mean, if you have it on streaming, check it out. Look it up. See if you can get it. Fight Club, awesome. It's so well done, and that movie came out in 1999. Fight Club. But anyway, what prop can be found in almost every scene of Fight Club? A chair. It's actually not a chair, but I'll give you guys a hint because this is a really what? Fabian, what? Fabian, how did you get that right? How did Fabian get that right? A Starbucks cup. I wouldn't have picked up on that. I would not. I mean, I've seen that movie probably a dozen times. I can't even remember seeing one Starbucks coffee cup in there. Yeah, it's possible, Google, but I'm trying to like come up with questions that are really specific, and I think that if they respond to these quickly enough, that maybe it's. Remember, you had a lucky. Didn't you have a lucky guess for this one? Okay, here's one for you as my battery is going away. Oh, Melissa says one of my favorite movies. Yeah, Bar Soap. Oh, see ya, King. Come back soon. I'll be doing a lot more of these because I love doing trivia with you guys. It's super fun doing that. Here's another one. In what year did streaming-only movies become eligible for Oscars? Thank you, Monkey. Thank you, Monkey. So what year? So you guys know the Oscars, right? Best Picture, Best Everything. But they added streaming movies recently. What year was it? When did that happen? So like Amazon, Netflix, like all these streaming platforms. Dapper, you're close. Try again. You're close. No, streaming wasn't even around in '97. That was the year Titanic was made. Fabian gets it right. Googling or not, Fabian got it right. And so now Fabian's got two. So, nicely done. Okay. Trying to see what else we got here. I'm gonna give you guys a tough one here. The first Mickey Mouse film from 1928 entered the public domain in 2024. What is the name of that movie? So, yeah, this is a really tough one. Does anybody know? It's all good, Dapper. I am too. It's all good. Yeah, the Mickey Mouse film, it was made in 1928. I mean, this is going on 100 years ago. What's the name of the movie? Yeah, Dapper gets it right. Starting to run out of room. I'm going to have to... Is this a double board? Yes, it is. Dapper's got two. Fabian's got two. Melissa has two. Brad has one. Josh has two. Justin has three. King has two. And that's how we're looking right now. Let me see what else we have going on here on this Monday night. By the way, just a quick check of anybody who's watching. Type out where you are watching from. What city, what country. I just would love to know. We are broadcasting to you from Colorado, in case you didn't know already. IDH. So Fabian's broadcasting from, or Fabian's watching from Mississippi. That's one of the states that I've never been to. I've not been to Mississippi. Yakima, Washington. Okay, I've been to Washington, just not Yakima. North Carolina. I've driven through North Carolina on my way to DC. Budapest, Hungary. Okay, I definitely haven't been to Budapest, but I would like to check that out sometime. Yeah, so Yakima, Washington. Where have I been in Washington? Anacortes, Seattle, Mississippi. I've not been to Mississippi, but I've been close to there in Alabama. Jeremy, thank you for letting me know. Jeremy and Santos is back. Melissa's watching from Santa Rosa, California. Have I been to El Paso, Texas? No, but I was born in Beaumont, Texas, and I lived in Midland, Texas for 2 years. And then, of course, I lived in California. Yes, I lived in Sacramento, California for 4 years. Yes, I agree. Seattle is cool. Josh is originally from Southern California. I'm jealous. That's where eventually I want to be, in San Diego in particular. Yeah, San Diego is like, I think it's the perfect place to live. I mean, is anything wrong with San Diego? Like, can you think of anything that's wrong with San Diego? Like, it's the perfect climate. It's just always wonderful out there. And, oh, yes, DH, you're asking what are we doing? We're doing movie trivia. And I'm trying to find ones that are like just not too hard. Some of the stuff is very specific. Okay, here's one. What is the name of the fictional African country in the movie Black Panther? Does anybody know that one? The movie Black Panther. What is the name of the fictional African country? Anybody know that one? Fabian gets it right. Wakanda. That's correct. So Fabian is now in the lead, tied with Justin at 3. Yep. And Josh, you were right behind that one with Wakanda. That's correct. Yeah, I would agree. That one is easy. All right, if you think that one was easy, I've got a more difficult one. Does anybody like Blade Runner? Blade Runner is awesome. So it came out in the early 80s. I think the first one must have been like 1982. And then they came out with a more recent one with Ryan Gosling, which I happen to really like that one. Oh, Dapper, I need to get, I don't know about that. The screen was kind of scrolling a little fast. Let me go back 1 second. I gotta look at this question here. So, youth retreat. Okay, got it. I see your question, Dapper. Let me ask your age. How old are you? And then maybe I can give you some advice on that situation. Fabian wants me to do some more questions about Titanic. Okay. So here's what I would say to you, Dapper. Don't rush anything at this time. Don't rush anything at this time, because things change, especially in college. So, if you have a great connection, definitely explore that. At the very least, it could be a friendship, but I wouldn't think any further beyond that at this time, just because so much happens in your 20s and your 30s. I mean, there's so much more to go. So I think that's the main advice I would have for you, is don't rush anything. Take it one day at a time. Play it smart. Okay. Oh, DH says you got to work. No problem. No problem. So somebody wanted a Titanic question. I'm trying to think of some questions for you guys about the movie Titanic. Okay. The captain. Do you guys remember the captain, the guy with the white beard? Um, True or false? The captain jumped into a lifeboat and he ended up surviving that shipwreck. You're welcome, Dapper. Melissa says false. And now Melissa has 3. Everybody else says false too. Oh, Dapper said true. So what happened was the captain was like, I'm going to go down with the ship. And he made the decision to go back into the captain's quarters, or wherever the big wheel is, and then he just went down with the ship. Most captains go down with the ship. I think they're expected to go down with the ship. And here we are. My battery is concerning right now. It's telling me 5%. So I probably need to wrap it up. I'm going to wrap it up with one more question, okay? Melissa, if you get it right, then you win the whole thing. Who directed the 1994 film Pulp Fiction? Who directed Pulp Fiction? Type it out, type it out, type it out. Quick, quick, quick. Who directed Pulp Fiction? Who's the director? He's a world famous director. He's only going to come out with a certain number of movies. He's only going to come out. Yeah, Melissa's got it right. Nicely done. Nicely done. So Melissa wins that one. Melissa wins the trivia. Congratulations to Melissa. We are all giving you applause right now. You joined a little bit later, but it didn't matter. You used your wit and your smarts to close it out, and you are the winner tonight of trivia. Thank you all for tuning in to Mars World. I'm going to be back on a lot more doing these because I have a lot of fun doing these and just talking with you guys. Dapper, you're welcome. Absolutely no problem. Come to me for advice for anything in life, and I'll do the best that I can. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you soon.